Rastogi, having over a decade of experience in IT industry, majorly on automation, testing, and also the cloud development. Okay, for today's session, we are targeting on the AI features we have in UiPath Test Suite. What are those, and how we can leverage them in our industry practices. Moving further, we will be covering the introduction to UiPath Test Suite. For those who are not aware of UiPath Test Suite, I'll be quickly covering it up, covering what the test suite is, what components make the whole test suite bundle, and what are their features. Then we'll be covering the autopilot for testers. All the GenAI capabilities introduced to the UiPath Test Suite, they are called out as autopilot. So it's an autopilot for testers. We have Autopilot for Studio, Autopilot for different components of UiPath. It's a GenAI features. So Autopilot for Tester is a GenAI capability for Test Suite. Then we'll be seeing the live demo for that. And I will also be covering SAP heat map. This is for those who have the SAP systems in their firm and they want to perform testing on SAP and they are not sure. SAP has so much data, transactions, modules, then from where to start? Because the first phase, we always want to be the most critical one, which impact the business most, and the business owners, sponsors get interested into it, and then they can continue the project. So such kind of things we can see from SAP heat map, how we can start automating the SAP, from where we can start automating, and also we can manage the testing automation for SAP using this. Then we'll be having a demo for that and a Q&A, the last 5 or 10 minutes, depending on the session, how it goes. Okay. The UiPath Test Suite is one solution for testing applications and automations. Those who think the testing automation is for the applications only, whenever any application project is there, let's say a website application build is there based on Java or some other language. Now, before delivering it to SIT, UAT, and to production, we always need to have a testing for that. And testing can be in phases. It can be first manually on SIT, then manually UAT, and then go to production. Now, before production, there are dry runs. In dry runs, we also do the testing before it finally goes live. All these things takes too much time. That's why the testing automation is introduced, where the automation is there to do the testing instead of the manual testing. Now, this is the one phase which everyone, I believe, knows that's for testing automation. But the second phase, which few of you might not be aware of, testing we can use for our existing RPA robots as well, where our existing UiPath robots can also be tested for any change request whenever it comes up, testing required. Any new RPA bot we build, testing required before deployment. All these testings can be done using UiPath Test Suite as well, which can save a lot of time for project management, maintenance perspective, and the regression testing required whenever any change is introduced. So with a simple way, when I say simple, it's because the test suite uses the same low-code platform, the UiPath Studio, to build the test automations. One who knows how to use any low-code platform, they will be easily able to create the automation test cases. And the one who knows using UiPath for building a bots, it's a piece of cake for them. Okay, moving further, these are the components which makes a test suite bundle. Those aware of UiPath, they know UiPath Test Suite is an IDE to build the robots, the RPA robots. So same UiPath Studio will be used to build the automation test cases also. The second component is UiPath Orchestrator, which is used for orchestration to run the test cases on a scheduled basis, or to add the permissions which user or developer can come in and can edit the triggers or can schedule All such policies can be handled from the orchestrator. It's same like existing UiPath RPA bots. The third component, which is new for those doesn't know that suite, is UiPath Test Manager. This is a web-based application. You see here the very first screenshot, which will become the core UI interaction for the users who see their test results. They can see their test results on this web-based application test manager. And they can also run the test cases through this test manager website itself. They do not need to come to Orchestrator. They do not need to go and ask the RPA COE or testing COE. COE is Center of Excellence, a team who manage all such IT activities in industry. So the user do not need to rely on such IT people to run the test cases, the automated test cases. They can come to this UI web-based, user-friendly console, and they can run the test cases. They can see the results. Also, they can perform multiple actions here. They can create the test cases, the manual test cases here, and run the automated test cases. These all can be done. We will go in detail when I go in my demo. And the best part about Test Suite is we can automate any kind of application. It can be desktop application, it can be API automation, it can be mainframe, web-based applications, mobile applications as well, we can automate. The applications in mobile, let's say you have a application in mobile, like any banking application you have. So the bank can automate the test cases which runs on the mobile. So that is also possible using UiPath Test Suite. So that's the introduction of Test Suite, and we just slightly see the architecture of it. All the components we discussed: Studio, Orchestrator. The fourth one is Test Robots, where the test automations will run on. Right now, those who are aware of the RPA bots, they uses the attended robots, unattended robots. So this test robot is different. So for the testing, there will be a additional license, additional resource will be required to run these test cases. Okay, so total 4 components we discussed, and the test manager here. So Studio 1, Orchestrator 2, 3 test robots, 4 test manager application. Okay, how these are connected with each other is Studio, whenever we build a test case, we need to connect to test manager. There's an option in Studio. We can connect, we can provide the URL of test manager. Then whatever we publish in Studio, it will go to the orchestrator, that test case, that automated test case. It will also go to the test manager. That's how the Studio is connected to orchestrator and test manager. Okay. Whenever we run our automated test case from test manager or orchestrator, it will run on test robots. That's how these 4 components are connected here. Now, after execution, the results we can see on test manager app. Okay. The test manager provides more than 45 ALM tools connectors. When I say ALM, it's application lifecycle management, like a tool like a Jira, and where the user stories can be created, and also the defects can be created. Such tracking can be created. So it's an application lifecycle management. So the Jira can be integrated. I'm taking one example, Jira. All the other examples you can see here, ServiceNow, Azure DevOps, and others, and more than 45. So taking Jira, the users, the business analyst, create the requirements in the Jira, and those requirements can be pulled up automatically in Test Manager. Once we integrate the Test Manager with Jira using connector, then whenever requirement is created in Jira, the test requirement, it will be automatically synced to the Test Manager. Now, there will be no human interaction required for the sync. In Test Manager, we can go, when I say we, here we can take example of business analyst or the business user who knows their business, their process very well. They are a subject matter expert. And through those requirements, they also create the test cases. So they can create test cases over the test manager itself. We'll go further into that. Okay. We can also do the CI/CD pipeline in our testing. CI/CD is continuous integration and continuous delivery. What it means is, uh, let's say I did this CI/CD pipeline testing for the existing RPA robot. Now, whenever a developer make any change to the existing RPA robot in the studio, once they commit the changes, those changes will go to the version control, let's say GitHub, and the GitHub will trigger those changes to the Jenkins and say, see, for this project, I got the changes. So you need to test it because the code change is made. So the Jenkins already have some stages for testing. It will do testing, let's say, in UAT environment, and there are already test cases linked, which are in test manager. So Jenkins know what test cases needs to run whenever any such code change happen. Then Jenkins runs all those test cases over the UAT, the environment, dedicated environment. And once all the testing pass, it will also deploy to the another higher level environment, which is production. So that's we call CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous delivery deployment. So all this can happen automatically. Once the developer make any changes, commit, it will be tested and it will be deployed as well automatically. So that is also possible with Test Suite. Okay, enough introduction for Test Suite. Now we jump for the main agenda of this session, Autopilot for Testers. Okay. Autopilot for Testers is a collection of advanced capabilities designed to boost the productivity of testers throughout the entire testing lifecycle. What does it mean? Okay, we'll see how it can ease the life of every person involved in testing. I will cover that in a next slide, how it can affect the business user, test user, developer, and also the end user who analyze the results, how the AI can affect their lives, how it can ease their life. Okay. In this slide, we see AI-powered continuous testing across the entire testing lifecycle. The very first, which I mentioned already, the ALM tool, let's say Jira, Application Lifecycle Management. The user goes there and define the stories. The stories, I give you an example during my live demo. So stories is like, let's say a loan application need to submit on, let's say UI bank application. Now, for that one, there can be multiple stories when it comes to testing. One story is user apply for a loan and user age is less than 21, or user age is more than 21, between 21 30 slab. Such kind of rules are written in the requirements. So if one set of requirement is positive, if age is less than 21, salary is more than $100,000 per year, then the loan can be granted of up to $20,000 per year. So all these English written text becomes a user story. So these are the scenarios which needs to be tested, and we create the granular level test cases from these test requirements, these test stories. Okay, so user write these stories in a Jira ALM tool, and then later on, those stories can be converted to the test cases using AI-powered functionality. Now, we do not need to create the test cases in an Excel file manually, like positive test cases, user log into the application and then enter the credential, click here, and then click on the accounts. So all these things we do not need to write by our user. The human do not need to write it now. All these can be written using AI. And once all the test cases are there, we can also automate those test cases. We do not need to write the script, drag and drop, like click on this button or launch the website. All these in Studio, we do not need to do now. There's an AI powered feature as well, which will read the test cases and create the coded automation. It will write a C# code for all those test cases. English written test cases, it will write the C# code. And that can be executed using manual schedule triggers, Uh, so schedule trigger using orchestrator, manual triggers user can trigger from test manager, the website. And later on, once we execute, there will be the results, AI-based analyzed results, which can tell the test cases are failed because of this reason. And you should focus on these items. Let's say majorly the test case fails at a UI level. So you can improvise your selectors. So such kind of recommendations will be provided by the AI report. We call it AI insights. And also it will tell uh, the details which are required by a end user to know whether how many test cases are done, how many are not, and what are not done, how we can expedite it. All such recommendations will also be provided by a AI Insight. Okay. All these things I'll cover in my demo. We move further. There are three core pillars of Autopilot. One I discussed just now is AI-powered test generation. From the requirements, the test stories, the test cases will be generated using AI. And the second we discussed is from these manual test cases, we can create the coded automation, which will be in C# language. Now we'll see everything in my live demo. The third is AI-powered test insights, which is a AI insight we call here. And this will give us the results from our testing in different sections. First section, error patterns, then recommendations, and what are the system conditions. It will tell us the version of the project, or it can also tell us the system load at that time. So all these details will be generated in a report using AI insights. Okay. Now, having all these features of AI in UiPath, how we can leverage it? Now, it will affect all the supported roles. Now we see for any testing project, a developer tester is required who write the complex coded automation. The automation which cannot be done through a drag and drop, and it requires a complex writings, let's say a API call or the manipulation of the output JSON of it, and also requires some data cleaning, such kind of things, which cannot be done straightforward through low code platform. So developer testers are required. That's one. The second role in a testing project is technical testers. Those who know everything about the infrastructure of technicalities being used, but they do not know coding. So these people develop the test automations, which are simpler and medium complexity. So they use the low code platform, Studio, and over there, they create the libraries or the reusable components and also the test cases, all these things done by technical testers. Then the business testers. Business testers are less technical, so they solely rely on the no-code tools or the pre-built activities for test automations. So there are also pre-built activities we can see in the frameworks and all the templates. Then business testers will execute test case. So these are the roles we require at the top-notch level. Now, how the AI capabilities can help us? Now we have the UiPath Autopilot. This is a fourth role. I will not say fourth role. I will say it's a consolidation of all these three roles and becomes a single role. Meaning now developer testers work can be done by the UiPath Autopilot, can be done by AI. Technical testers work can also be done by UiPath Autopilot. Business testers can also be done by UiPath Autopilot, and how it can be achieved. So we will see in my live demo, the complex automation where the C# language or coded automation are required. It can be done in a single click. And so developer testers, the coded automation can be done through a single click using AI features. Then technical testers, same, we can create the custom libraries, and those can be again reused for our coded automations. I will call it object repository for that. And the simple test cases will also be created using AI-powered feature. Okay, we move further. Now I'll show a demo on it. Just give me a minute.
Any questions for anyone?
I'm sharing back my screen.
Yeah. But any questions that you have, feel free to post it on the chat.
Okay. So first I'll go through this demo video, which I created uh, some time back. And what it covers all the GenAI features which we discussed so far. And then I will take you to the real test manager. Okay. Now Test Manager looks like this. It's a web application. I keep this project, Test Suite GenAI 2024, as in my favorite projects. So you can see there's all projects as well, where you can see all the test automation projects. So to be specific for this demo, I marked over here as a favorite project. So in this list, you see only this one. Now, this project is to showcase the GenAI capabilities of Test Suite, and these are launched recently a month back. All these features we are discussing now, it's already GA, it's already publicly available. Okay, this is a dashboard, and we have a requirements tab as well here. And these, what you see here, GenAI 5, GenAI 11 are the requirements, the test scenarios, you can call it. And these are directly synced from the Jira ALM tool. Now I already have an integration. How you can do integration is you can go to project settings. There you can see the Jira ALM connector. You can click over there. There are few tokens need to be shared and download a small package in Test Manager, and same in Jira. With those simple steps, it can be connected. Now, once it's connected, all the requirements which you see here are auto sync to the Test Manager. Now, the one requirement here we see is submit loan request, which is potential UI bank customer want to seamlessly apply for a loan via UiPath banking application, so that the person can quickly secure the funds that the person need. And there's a user flows. User supposed to click where during the submission of application, like click on the home button, and then click on the products. Products can be a loan, and then enter all the details required. That's a name, email address, mailing address, or the tenure of loan, all these things. So we will go through in the requirement later on. And the second requirement we have like this. So we go in the first requirement. So we see the requirement looks like this. It's pretty detailed. Now, one thing to highlight, uh, when we read this requirement, it shows everything is captured, meaning if a person read this and perform same steps on the banking application, the UI bank application, will be able to submit a loan without the need of any subject matter expert. So our requirement needs to be that detailed, because later on, all these requirements will be read and fed into the AI capability, which will convert it into test cases. And those test cases will convert to the automated test case without any human intervention. All this can be possible. We just need to have all our requirements very clear like this. So if I read out few of them, the applicant open the home screen of the UiPath banking application. The applicant clicks the products button in the header menu. Applicant clicks the loan button in the drop-down menu. The applicant clicks the apply for a loan button. Once we click here, then enter the details, email, loan, tenure, income, age. Now, the acceptance criteria, when the loan will be passed on submission of these details and when it will not be passed. So those are mentioned over here. So that becomes a one scenario, one user story. Okay. We go further. Once we have the requirement, we can see this option, generate test. Here we are going to click here, and in single click, it will create all the test cases required based on this user story. After click, now there's one option is uh, two things here before creating test cases. One is prompt. So we can write what is the level of granularity we want in our test cases. So I can write just do one test verification per test case, meaning one test case then will be created like it will just say open the web application and it will say web application open or not, done. It's a one verification. Second test case can be uh, application opened, then enter the credentials, login successful or not. This becomes second test case. So it's that granular, only one verification per test case. So all these things we can write in a prompt, same like your LLM tools like Gemini, ChatGPT, we write prompts, right? I need a test case and these are details for test requirement. And the test case should be only one test case having the 5 verification points. So all these things you can write here. And based on that, your test case will be generated. You can also write, oh, I want only 10 test cases, which can cover the complete requirements. It can generate 10 requirements. So that's one. Second thing is, we can also add more details here. It might happen, the requirements given here, the user story, have less data, but someone wrote more data in some text file and regarding this user story. So we can also fed in that file here. So that becomes a source of data also for the AI to create the test case. Now we move further. This is one we discussed just now. The second we say this is a prompt. So without entering a prompt, I'm just creating it by default. So by default, it will create the test cases from this user story. And if you want to alter those test cases, you can write a prompt. Need only 10 test case or need only one verification per test case, or I do not need the granular test case. It needs to be holistic, like only one test case cover the complete requirement. So based on your requirement, you can create like that. So I'm using the default one, default prompt, which will create the granular test cases. So it takes a minute time to generate test case because it goes back sending all these details to the Gen AI system, and there it synthesizes the data, understand it, and then based on the prompt, it create the test cases. Now, here we are seeing the same test requirement, test story, based on which the test cases will be generated through AI. And here we see it's a acceptance criteria. If the age is between 18 and 65 years age and 100,000 of loan is required, then it will be approved. With the congrats, you have been approved for a loan application. Okay. Now here we can see as soon as the test cases are generated, we see the notification here. So I click on notification. Instead of just waiting for the buffer to buffer, I just come out, and then once the notification received, test case generated, I go to notification, click, and see all the test cases here are generated through the requirements. Now, the first one we see verify loan application for an eligible age and amount. And if I expand it, we see what this test case is. Every test case has test steps. One step is open the home screen application. Second, click the products, click the loans, click the apply. So that's how we have the steps. All these things, a human is not required to write all the test case and test steps. Gen AI does that for us. Okay. Now, among the created test cases, we have an option to choose what test cases we want to select. And we can select only those. and the rest will not be created. So I select only 3 test cases. From the 3 test cases, we see here. Okay, so one thing to note here, we have just created the manual test cases. So yeah, just a open-ended. Whomsoever has any question, feel free to type a message in a chat, and later on we see and then reply accordingly. So right now I'm just running through the agenda, and later on we discuss on it if there is any question. Okay, so first AI feature we see just now, requirements sync through ALM tool Jira to test manager. From test manager, we go to requirement. We create the test cases using Gen AI feature. Once we call it manual test cases because we see, right, only the English text is written over there. There's no coded automation yet. So we create the manual test cases so far. Now, what you are seeing here is object repository. Those who are not aware what is object repository, this is a very good concept for reusability of the UI elements of application. Meaning, let's say we have this UI bank application. I want to capture all the pages of the application once. So I do not want my developers to capture this application UI again and again for their different projects. So one robot is running on UI bank application is submit application. Second robot running on UI bank application is to generate a report of all the submitted application, or to go in and open an account, new account in that bank. So there are 3 projects we discussed just now. So I don't want my 3 developers to go in and scrape out the UI elements again and again for their projects. So instead of that, I ask another developer just to extract all the UI elements of all the pages of this application once, create this object repository. Later on, this object repository library will be imported by all the other 3 developers of 3 different projects. Now, they do not need to extract the UI elements again and again. They just use drag and drop. They just drag and drop amount. Let's say I drag and drop from left-hand side. Activity is input text. So on that input text activity in my UiPath Studio Canvas, I will drag and drop the amount. So I don't need to have the UI element of amount now. Automatically, the amount UI element will be tagged to the input text. So amount will be inputted when we run the bot. So that's how the object repository works. It can be used with your RPA projects. It can be used with your test projects also. Why I'm discussing it here is to create the automated test cases through manual test cases. This object repository is a prerequisite. Meaning, all these things, if you remember, age, amount, email, income, exact naming we had in our requirements, test requirements. So I just go back further where we have 155, right? We go further and we see here. So we see the exact names here, home, products, loans, apply. All these are the UI elements. Now, email, loan, tenure, income, age. Now, when I created my object repository, I used these text in my object repository. So later on, my code, my AI will know this age, meaning the age in my test case. And wherever I'm saying enter age in my test step, like fill in the age, then how the AI knows where is the age UI element in the UI bank application. It will match that age keyword from the test step, age, come over here, object repository, and use this age automatically. No human intervention required. So all these names will be come over here. Now, this age can be on different pages also, like form is one page of the application. So you see a tree-like structure here. So form is one page of application, home is one page of application, same notification and selection. Now, Age can also be part of home. So my test requirement is a user to go on the form page and enter age. Once it's there, the AI knows how to create the C sharp code using the form UI, using the age UI. Okay, so that's how it is done. Now we have the test steps, the English written, uh, I would say written English written code. I would say comments. Then based on those comments, the AI will map from the object repository, the UI elements, and give us the C sharp code. Okay, we move further. So we have only 20 minutes pending now, and I also need to cover the heat map. So I just move it further. Then later on, we discuss the questions. Okay. So here we see our three manual test cases are here, and those are not yet converted to the automated test case. That's why it's not filled. You see this logo, it's not filled. The filled one is already converted earlier to the automated test case. Okay. Now we just need to do right click on the manual test case and generate coded test case. With a single click, we can see it will create the C sharp code here. See, everything is created by the AI. Now, all these comments you are seeing are coming from the test requirements to manual test case to here. So that's how the cycle goes. So manual test case to here, all these converted comments are coming here. Now, based on this, I just select the comments, whatever I want to convert to C sharp code, I just select those and right click, just select all the comments, right click, generate code. Now it will generate the C sharp code from all these comments. That becomes our automation test case. Now, for every comment, we have one line of C sharp code here. And sometime when we run it, we see a syntax error. Then what we just need to do is we can just modify our comment here. Let's say verify that the notification screen is displayed. I can also mention verify that the notification screen is displayed, but do not use the attach method. Use the launch method. So you just need to write in English, select, right click, generate code. It will generate you the code. If you have any doubt in syntax or something, or you want to know a syntax of something, do not need to do Google or Chat GPT, Gemini. No, you just need to write here your English. And for your understanding, you can just highlight the command, right click, generate code. It will give you the code, whatever you want. So it can also be done. So that's how I build my code as well. In one click, it will give me the 95% of the C sharp code ready to run. Where if I see issue, I just go in and update the command, regenerate the code, and then it will give me the correct code. That's how it's done. And we see further. Now I'm directly running this project. So from manual test case to automated test case, now it's running as well. Click products, click loans, apply for a loan, enter details. So the details you are seeing over here right now, it's a hard-coded details, which is provided by the Gen AI, just for the sake of running a sample. We can also variabilize all these values, which you see hard code here, right? So all this data can be come from a data file or a data service, a cloud-based data storage from UiPath. In my case, I'm using a file. From that file, we have two data. Those data I just update here as a variable name. So the age I just update over here is a column name in my data, in my Excel file. So we see earlier there was a hardcode value of email. I just replaced with a column name in my data file. So all this is variabilized now. So whatever the data I enter in my file now, the test data file, thousands of records, everything can be run here from that data, no hard coding. Okay. We move further. Now here I'm going to run it, and we can see the test case automated run will run on the two test data, which is picked up from the test data file. I just move it further ahead because we don't have much time left. And we see the two test cases, one test case done on one data. Same test case is running on second data. So earlier it ran on Priyank 1, now running on Priyank 2. So now it's checking whether the loan is approved or not. It's passed. And the second one, we refresh and see. Okay. So the two test cases ran already, and we can see the results. Now, what I'm showing over here is generated insights, the third feature of Gen AI in Test Suite. From here, I'm generating insight of my runs. And for this particular run, I want to create the Gen AI insight. I select all the executions, all the past executions. And now it's taking a bit to create the report. And here we see the different sections. And majorly what we see, it says the verify loan approval for eligible age failed 2 times. And the last 4 transaction, 50%. Common error is UI element is outside of screen bound. This is deliberately I induce this error so that we can have this kind of recommendation from the Gen AI insights. So we can use these recommendations from Gen AI and then fasten or drill down where the issue is and then move towards the completion of the testing. We can also download it in the document. We just see we download this report in document and later we can use it. We can send it, we can share it. Those who does not have access to Test Manager. So that's for the video covering all the 3 Gen AI features. And quickly, I want to move to the SAP heat map covering in few minutes and giving you time to have a question here. Okay, for SAP heat map, where is my slide here? Just give me a moment. Should be sure. Okay, and the screen should be visible now. Okay, the SAP heat map is for the visualization of the transactions and number of transactions and the complexity blocks. When I say block, it's one function in SAP. So the size you are seeing over here is based on the complexity of that block, complexity of that module in a function, and the number of times the transaction run in SAP. So through this GUI, we understood create sales order function module is the heaviest in SAP. So we can focus on this to automate so that the more users manual work will be freed up and will be automated. So that's how we can prioritize the automation of a SAP and leveraging on the SAP heat map. Also, we see 3 colors here in this heat map, red, gray, green. Red meaning the test case is there, but when we executed, it failed. One of the test case of a test set is failed. So it's red here in this SAP heat map. Gray meaning these are the functions of SAP which are not yet automated. So it's a pipeline for developers and business users to take consideration to move these functions for testing automation. Green meaning test case is created for this module, and when we execute it, all the test cases are passed also. And that's how we can see the reporting of SAP. And also we can leverage it to prioritize the testing automation of the functions, which are majorly being used. Okay, so that's it I want to say about it. And we see where we can see this SAP heat map, and because it's just a screenshot and how it looks like. So I'm sharing my big screen, which includes my test manager. Okay, it should be visible now. So we have the SAP heat map project, which is a favorite project here we see in this list. And earlier we had options, menus here in Test Manager dashboard, requirements, where requirements come from Jira, test case, where we can see test cases, test sets, which is a bundle of test cases, related test cases. When we run one test set, all those test cases will run on. Test results, we can see test results of those sets and their test cases, execution results. The project settings where we can integrate uh, the APIs, or we can integrate the Jira, like it's SAP and Jira integrated for me. So we see this list and we can see this. We can also custom build the connectors. That's another option. Now, this heat map option menu is only coming here because I did the configurations of heat map here. I uploaded the SAP transactions data to the test manager. So now after those configurations, the heat map option is available. Else, for other projects, you will not be able to see this. So if I open this, heat map is not there because not configured. So we open heat map, SAP demo heat map, heat map. That's how the SAP, all the function modules we can see here. Now, I want to see the top 10 transactions. All transactions, top 10 transactions. So among the top 10 transactions, implementation activity shares 17% of the all SAP load. SAP transactions, it's a complex builds are there. So it becomes, combination of that becomes 17%. Also the number of users using this module. So there are few parameters which define the size of this box. Now, I want to go further to other top transactions to see. Okay, so this one is create purchase order, only 10%. It's only 6%. 6%. Now, another thing what we can see here is this module function is automated. Now, what are the test cases linked to it? I just click here, and down here we can see this is a test case which is linked to this SAP function. I click here, you can see earlier it was passed, and that's how we can see the test case. Okay. Now this is a heat map. There are more to cover. Now we don't have much time. So I'm sharing my presentation again to see what else we have to cover today. SAP heat map cover, demo cover, and this is a UiPath mission to enable testers to always perform at their highest potential. And yeah, so that's it from my side. And now I'm open for the questionnaire. I see there are 4 messages in the chat, and I will respond one by one. Also, people who have a question and they think it requires a discussion, please feel free to unmute your mic and we can discuss in this call as well. So we have 7 minutes now, quite much time to discuss. And meanwhile, if no one has any question to discuss, I will reply on these questions in the chat. Okay, one question I'm reading out. Actually, I'm sharing my screen now so that you guys also can see what I'm reading. This one, share. Um, where is how I can see it now? Hmm. Full screen is shared, but I want to see what we are seeing here, which is, sorry, just give me a moment. I see we cannot share this. Hmm. Okay, nevertheless, I'm just reading out the questions. Object repository added in the studio manually or added by autopilot. Okay, object repository is like a library. Once we cater all the UI elements in that object repository, It can be published to orchestrator, and same like libraries, we can import from the managed packages in our project, in our test automation project or any RPA project. So that's how we integrate the object repository to our project. So it's a manual. The other question, is it possible to generate code without object repository like descriptive program? So we need two things to generate a code. First, the AI should know what are the steps, meaning open the website, click on the accounts, click on the loan application, then enter detail for name, enter detail for a email, enter detail for email tenure. So these are test steps. Second thing AI requires is what is the email, name, accounts, home button, submit button on the launched application, where the AI can find those. What is the mapping? For that mapping, we already have the UI elements captured in object repository. Now, once that object repository is there, AI will be able to know from the test steps mapped with the object repository. It will create a C# code, which directly will run the steps on the UI application. So yes, object repositories must required. It's a prerequisite to create the coded automation. Second question from Surya. Did the autopilot test suite went live already and available for public use? Okay. Autopilot, uh, when we say test suite, yes, it's launched 3 years back. When we say autopilot for test suite, it launched a month back. Yes, it's a GA, public use. Any other questions? If I miss any, then could you
Yeah,
repeat
Priyank,
the
this is
chat?
I have one question.
Sure.
Yeah, is it possible to generate the code for regression test case as well?
Code for regression test case. So when we say regression test case meaning one test case, let's say apply a loan and having hundreds of test data. Hundreds of test data meaning different names, different address, and different salaries, different tenures, different loan ask. So when we perform that same test case on 100 test data, it becomes a regression testing. Is it my understanding correct with your term regression testing?
Yeah, see, for example, once you create the manual test case, either by autopilot or manual, doesn't matter. So once you create the test cases, manual test cases, you're just connecting to Studio and you're generating the code as per the manual steps, right? So for
Hmm.
example, if something changes in the application, so one or two functions at least added for same test cases. So if I
Hmm.
insert 2 or 3 steps extra in the same test cases, can I generate the code again for the same test case in the Studio for those
Yes,
extra 2 steps?
yes. So you mean to say test requirement is changed?
Correct.
Yeah,
For small
so
changes.
yeah. So when the test requirement is changed, then you can again create the test cases using AI, Gen AI. So there are two options. One, the clean way, I would say, whatever change happened, uh, change from the base, from the root. Your root is a user story. So change in that, create the test case. Now, whatever the test case is relevant to your change, accept only those. The other ones you already have, right? So accept only those where the change is reflected in the test case. Now, those new test case created. From those, you can again create the coded automation and you can configure it based on requirement. That's one, the clean way. The second, if you say you don't have time, you don't want to do all these things again, just a minor one, then yes, you can write your own comment in your coded automation. Earlier, I showed, right? We can also manually write the comment or manually emphasize the comment, whatever we require to. So after having all those details in the English written comment, you can select your whole comment, right click, generate code. It will generate a C# code for you. So you can uh, patch your code with the new requirements like this also.
Got it. You mean to say we need to add whatever, so for example, one button extra added for one test case. So we need to update those one button in the manual test case and also
Mm.
comment in the code. So it will generate automatically, right?
Correct. But that button is new, meaning if it's not ever there in the application, you also need to add it in the object repository. And that latest version of object repository need to be installed in your project.
Got it.
If
Thank
that button is already there, then no need to touch the object repository. It just existing button is now involved in your test case. So just no change required for object repository.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we are close to 6 now. Thanks everyone for joining. I still wait for a couple of questions. If you guys have, feel free to unmute. And it's not about the technical question or any other uh, problem you face with general testing, or even if you're in RPA, you want to move or learn the test automation. So those things we can also discuss here. Even we have the test automation engineer certification from UiPath, which is targeting to this UiPath test suite and also the best practices of it, and different phases you see, let's say BA roles or the user roles, all such functional topics are also covered in that test automation certification. So if you're going ahead to learn more, I would recommend to go for certification. Through that, you will learn all the self-paced trainings. You will do hands-ons, and that's how you learn, by having a motto in your mind during a certification. That's how I also learn more. Any other questions? And I'm just typing in my LinkedIn URL, the ID here. In case you have any further question, you can feel free to connect to me there. Yeah, sorry, just give me a while. It's not handy with me. I'm just give me a moment. Yes, now I have it. And then I just messaged in this group. So feel free to ping me if you require any guidance on your certification or any issue you have with the latest feature or with the project. Okay, that's it from my side. Thanks for joining today. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.